Hi there, and welcome back. Time for another short video to help get you on your way into the top 100 of an aquascaping contest.
Today, we are going to look at how materials interact with light and dark, how plants and shadow work with the two main materials.
Before we start with some of the international aquascapes, let's quickly look at MJ Aquascaping. He was in Canada recently and received some interesting advice from one of the judges. During this competition, he and his partner had put a stone right under a piece of wood. They were advised to remove it so the wood created some shadow, and they did remove it. During planting, they made the same mistake, but this time they did it with the plants. By placing the plants underneath the wood, they changed the shadow into a space that was more highlighted, taking away the shadow and depth created by the wood in the first place. So what happened here with MJ and his partner was that they got advice but didn't realize at that time what the advice really meant. When you talk to other scapers and they tell you something or advise you to change something you did in a scape, make sure you understand why. You will find that I use the words shadow and light a lot. The reason is that light and shadow create contrast, depth, and also helps you to accentuate colors. My name Shadowscaper was chosen because of two reasons. First, I build hardscapes for other contest scapers, but I am doing it in the shadows. Second, because I believe aquascapes can't be successful without the right amount of shadows. Like I said last time, the first steps in aquascaping is to find the story you want to tell and the style you want to use to tell that story. When you have that in the back of your mind, your next step becomes building your hardscape, choosing the materials you want to use. Here is where your location in the world and your resources come into play. Wood is probably the cheapest material to work with because you can buy it, but also often just collect it in a nearby forest. Stone is often the more expensive option, but some of us are lucky that we can still collect them freely as well. Stones will make your water harder, and this can influence your maintenance cycle, like water changes. Also, it influences the plants that are easy or harder to work with. Wood, on the other hand, makes your water softer and will lower your pH. It will color your water brown, and this too influences the maintenance cycle. So how does this play with light and shadow? Well, wood, as it ages, becomes a little darker and doesn't reflect as much light as stone would do. Stone surfaces reflects more light than wood. To give you an idea, a vertical piece of wood will look darker than a vertical piece of stone. But when you angle both slightly forward and the light gets blocked by the physical presence of the materials, they both create a dark shadow. Let's look at this scape. See how the roots are positioned so that the light hits it? But still, it seems a little darkish. Now let's compare that to the stones in the same scape. These are dark stones, but due to the light, get a grayish tone to them. While the difference is subtle in this scape, once you start working with larger surfaces, it becomes more outspoken. My advice is to learn about your materials, the ones you choose to work with. Make them wet, try to angle them under the lights you're going to use. Also keep in mind that with planting, you can cancel out some of the shadow you have created. So, better to make a little extra shadow at the start. As you build your scape, I have found that filling the tank with water once or twice during the process helps me to better understand the materials. You'll find that underwater, something can look a lot different. Take your time and explore. And be careful not to get caught up in details. The main hardscape is not about details, but about the main big structures. It is about creating the lines you need to draw the viewer's attention into that focal point. Now let's have a look at some top 100 tanks and how they work with hardscape. Let's start with the scape from Matthew Maines from IAC 2019. It ranked a nice 21st. Do you see the stones highlighted by the red circles have a different tone and lightness to them, while the wood highlighted by the blue circles has a darker tone to it, even though it is getting similar light?
But you could say, in this case, Matthew is also helping that contrast a little. If you look closely, you can see he actually used different types and colors of stones.
Matthew's skill with stones in aquascapes is undeniable. I would actually say he's by far the best stonescaper I know. And his win with this scape in 2022 at IAPLC was well-deserved. Congrats again, my friend.
In my previous video, I told you I would have loved to see Hitoshi Naruse work more with his original idea from 2018. With some of Matthew's scapes, I can now show you how he has used similar effects in multiple scapes and still remained original.
Let's first look at another picture of the 2019 scape, but this time his CIPS participation. The hardscape is basically the same, but with some small alterations. Also, the plants have grown a lot more mature, and some plants have been replaced. Which one do you like best? The thing I want you to pay attention to is this crater or cavern-like construction in the center. Now, looking at his 2021 tank, we still see a cavern or crater-like cave in the center, but his circular light point at the top of the tank was removed. In 2022, Matthew really gave a masterclass in aquascaping. This tank ranked 7th at IIAC, showcasing his skill with stone and wood. Also again with that cave-like construction aligned with the focal point.
And he kept going that year, because he also ranked first at IAAC with this beautiful scape. However, this time there is no cave-like structure aligned with his lit focal point. But if you look closely, up in the left side, there is again that dark construction.
I have already shown you his IAPLC win of 2022. This scape is probably also the scape he is most known for. But do you see, again, this alignment of a cave with above it the lit circular shape?
What Matthew has done is he has taken two elements, a dark cave-like structure and a lit area, having them contrast each other or even complement each other. By having both in the scape at the same time, he creates a contrast and a balance, a negative and a positive, yin and yang.
Here is where we now connect the previous video with today's video, the style and your story. Light and dark. Wood gives you one type of structure, while stones gives you another. Your plants can impact the atmosphere and escape, not only the choice of plants, but also the maturity of those plants, just as Matthew showed us in his two versions of his 2019 tank. My next point is going to be a controversial issue. Do tanks featuring more red and orange colors have the same chances of winning as green tanks do? Yes, I truly believe they do. So why statistically do we see more green in the top 100? I think there are multiple reasons for this. First, some styles embrace the green colors and feel more natural because of the green dominance. Jungle style and Iwagumi styles are examples of this. Secondly, red and orange are rather dominant colors. Balancing them correctly with hardscape and green is hard. In fact, if you get it wrong, the reddish-orange coloring weakens the overall contrast in your tank.
Now, this brings us to today's recap. 1. Look around and see what materials you have easily available. 2. Experiment with these materials under your light. See how they reflect and interact with the light. 3. Find a theme or technique that you want to explore. Think about how to incorporate two opposites. 4. Think about what plants you are interested in and where you would like to see them. And 5. When someone gives you advice or a comment, make sure you understand what it is they are trying to make clear to you. Don't assume you know what they mean, but really make sure that you know. Next time, I will be looking into tanks that are predominantly green, tanks where red or orange are either missing or just a small footnote. If you liked today's video and you want to see more, please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot, so don't be shy. Shadowscaper logging out for today. See you next time and take care.